here. I hope you're well. So, today we're talking about part 6 of transitioning to healthier eating. And the topic is the dangers of keto, paleo, and low carb diets. So you might have heard those names flying around because they're quite the trend in the last few years. Keto, paleo, low carb diets. People trying to convince you that we don't need to eat carbs or hardly any or much less carbs and all things like that. So that's what these diets are based on. So they're very similar, slightly different. So I'm gonna try and go through and explain the differences and why they can be actually really dangerous for your health. So let's start with low carb diets because they seem to be, on the trend for the last few years. Um, the rationale behind it being that we shouldn't eat too many carbs because they make us fat. And if we cut out carbs, then our body will start burning fat and, we'll lose weight and be healthy, right? It's not quite that simple and it doesn't quite work that way. So our bodies are primarily fueled by carbs. If you watched any of my other kind of healthy tips videos in the past, I'm sure I've discussed this before, that our body, our systems are primarily set up to be fueled by carbs. Our brain is fueled by carbs. We need carbs for energy. So through the day, our majority of our energy comes from energy from carbohydrates. At night it switches a bit where actually more fat is burned for energy than carbs, but through the day it's majority of carbs, some fat but not a lot, is burned for energy, right? So carbohydrates are our preferred energy source, our main energy source. So if you start cutting that down or cutting it away completely, then your body goes into stress and starvation response. So low carb means, I guess, keeping carb levels below a certain amount. So it's not completely cutting them out, but it's kind of, cutting to a very minimal level. So I guess keto diets and low carb diets are similar in that because keto diets also cut out most carbs, and and your main kind of source of food or fuel becomes animal products and primarily meat, also dairy. Although I'm trying to think, keto, I didn't quite delve too much into keto to see whether, I think animal, as in like all animal products are allowed as well as dairy, I believe. But anyways, primarily it's eating fat and meat, animal products in general, ketogenic diet, right? But the premise with ketogenic diet is even more severe because not only you are cutting out or reducing carbs dramatically, but also due to this and a lot of animal products that you're eating, your body is in ketosis. So you might think, oh, well, that's good. That's what you want, because when you're in ketosis, your body digests fat as an energy source, right? And you might think, well, that's great because obviously you want to get rid of the extra fat. And yes, it might sound that it might be a good solution, right? However, it's not so much. I mean, yes, short term, you might experience some benefits eating that way, because what it happens so physiologically, right? When you are so to be in ketosis, you are in starvation mode, right? So that's how your body understands ketosis. So ketosis is just a different name for basically starvation mode for your body. That's how your body understands that. So when you deprive your body of carbohydrates, it gets into ketosis, which is starvation mode, right? So when you're in starvation mode, you get better focus, you get kind of, more energy temporarily, because what your body is doing, it's throwing the last bit of energy you have, right? So that you get up and get out there and get more carbs, more food, right? So that's why it sharpens your focus. It can makes you feel energetic, right? So because it's thinking, well, I'm starving, I better give this last bit of energy I've got, so that the human you goes out and gets some more carbs, some more food, right? However, that doesn't happen, because if you are in ketogenic or low carb diet, you do not eat carbs or very little, and your body is in perpetual starvation mode. So yeah, so while short term, that's why some people, when they switch to paleo diets or ketogenic or low carb diets, they feel good. All of a sudden they say, oh, I feel the best I've ever felt, because of these kind of things that I've just mentioned, that your body just throws the last out, last bits of energy at you. So sharpen your focus, give you more energy, but it's done at the expense of basically taxing your other organs, because when you are in starvation mode, in ketosis, your body releases cortisol, which is a stress hormone. So your body is stressed. So while stress is good in small doses when you're trying to run away from a predator, let's say, or things like that, cortisol and adrenaline, right? While it's good in low doses at certain points, and it doesn't harm you, but when your body is constantly inundated with cortisol, constantly being in your system, it starts to tax your adrenal glands, obviously the adrenaline, but constantly being released. It attacks your kidneys, liver, because they're trying to remove that from your bloodstream. So yeah, so if your body is constantly having a stress response and cortisol always in your system, that starts taxing other organs, and it's really not a healthy way to live. So imagine you're constantly on the starvation mode, because that's how your body feels when you are in ketosis. So yeah, so it might sound cool, ketosis, as in like you're burning fat burning stage, but that is just a different term for starvation. Okay, so your body is in starvation mode, is stressed. It's trying to get more food, but it's not getting any more carbs, because you're not giving it any more carbs, and it's constantly stressed out, and releases cortisol and adrenaline. And like I said, you can get chronic illnesses or ailments to your organs and systems, if you constantly are in ketosis. So yeah, paleo diet, and maybe not as extreme. Paleo diet goes on the premise that as cavemen, back in the ancient times, that we were hunter-gatherers, right? But that theory that we're mostly hunters and bit of gatherers has been actually debunked since, because if you examine Paleolithic poo, which some fossils have remained in like a fossilized way, encased in like rock formations and different things, right, preserved, you find kind of unrefined plant matter mainly, and just a little bit of animal products in there. So we were primarily gatherers, right? And only occasional hunters. So when the opportunity presented itself, for example, or perhaps more in winter when there was not much food to gather, that's when we had to resort to try and hunt and, eat something. So yeah, so paleo, it's a misinterpretation of our, prehistoric or earlier types of diet, saying that that's the right kind of diet for us to have is, heavily animal based diet, which, like I said, it has been debunked. We have never been meat primarily eating organisms. Yes, maybe perhaps somewhere like Inuits in Antarctica or somewhere where there's no vegetation growing, and then you have to eat animals to survive, then yes, fair enough. But if you look at these people, they've done kind of studies and examinations after their death, that most of them die early at young age with all sorts of heart conditions and ailments, because all of that fat, the saturated fat, clog up their arteries, because they just eat too much animal products. Basically, we're not designed to eat animal products, and that's when it's only thing you eat is animal products. Very quickly your body just stops working and it clogs up, with all this cholesterol just piling up in your arteries and veins. So yeah, and another thing, animal products do not have fiber. They are completely devoid of fiber. The only foods that you find fiber in are plant foods, and our guts and our whole digestive system is made, it thrives on fiber. It needs fiber. So fiber is needed for our probiotics, our good bacteria. It's like a prebiotic to them, right? So our good bacteria feed on this undigestible fiber, right? Also, fiber is used to remove toxins and gases out of our system. So, for example, some of you might be exercising a lot, not eating much, but still, especially around midriff, might be carrying a lot of fat tissue, right? And you can't seem to shift it. It's because you might store some toxins like heavy metals and things within your tissues, and fat is the protective mechanism of how your body tries to prevent these toxins circulating, in your system, in your bloodstream, so they get absorbed into the cells and then protected by a layer of fatty cells. So yeah, so sometimes if you and fiber, if you're eating a lot of fibrous food, so your fruits and veggies in particular, they then help, like they act like as a broom. If you imagine, they just kind of brush out and take away all of these toxins, so they can't get reabsorbed again. They just take them out of your intestinal tract and out of your system. So yeah, so fiber is crucial. And keto, paleo, and low carb diets, they don't have a lot of fiber because they are low carbs. So again, don't get a lot of fiber with that. So yeah. So if you have any questions, please ask me below. I'll be happy to answer. I hope gave you a little bit of an insight into those diets, and for you to question before you dive into any of these diets, just because somebody recommended or somebody felt better on it, without actually doing proper research and understanding how they work and what premise do they work under. So yeah, so it's not a very healthy premise that they operate on, and it's not sustainable and not healthy long term at all. So short term people might feel better and lose weight. However, long term, what they can do, they can tax the organs like I already mentioned, with all the stress coursing in your system, cortisol and adrenaline. But also they can slow down your metabolism, and the next time you'll go back to a normal like high carb, because we are meant to eat high carbohydrate diets. That's our natural diet. That's what we meant to eat. High carb diets, just naturally high carbs with fruit and vegetables, plant foods basically. So the next time when you can no longer stay on this, paleo or keto or low carb diet, you go back to eating carbs again. But because your body was in starvation mode and was in shortage of carbs for a period of time, right? Then you pile back more fat, because your body thinks, oh, I've finally got some carbs, I better hold on to them, right? Because I don't know when next starvation phase happens. Because he'll be afraid, because the body will be so used to you putting it in ketosis, in starvation mode. So as soon as you give it some carbs, it'll hold on to those carbs, right? And it'll be much harder for you to lose weight. So you'll gain weight very quickly back again, and it'll be very hard for you to lose it. So that's why you get the yo-yo diets, where actually you lose quite a bit of weight quickly, say on a diet, but then when you go back off your diet, you just bounce back and you pile even more. And that's the mechanism of how it works, because your metabolism slows down to try and save your life from starvation, being in ketosis all the time, right? So when you go back to normal high carb diet, your body is still in that mode, thinking, ooh, we have to store the fat for a rainy day, right? And it's not, releasing that fat so quickly. It actually piles it on, stores it much quicker, and releases much slower, and your metabolism rate stays quite low for quite a long time until your body readapts again. It can actually take years to fix whatever ketosis diet has done, the damage it's done to your body, by starving yourself. So yeah, so definitely be so careful, then jumping onto the bandwagon of all the keto, low carb, or paleo diets, or caveman diets also, some of the names. So yeah, so I hope that was useful. I hope you'll take my warning and research into it a bit more if you are wanting to try it. But I definitely would say stick to plant-based diet, because if you watch all my videos from the start to now, you'll see how our system shows that plant foods are the right foods and fuels for our body. So if you stick to whole foods, plant-based whole foods, the closest to the nature as possible, least refined, the way they grow in nature, then that's the healthiest way to be. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let me tell you what the next part will be in a couple of days' time. Right, so I'll be talking about a few different ways how to make a switch. So yeah, so that's going to be next time. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Give me thumbs up if you did. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe for more videos, and watch the other videos in this transition to healthier eating series. And I'll see you guys in 2 days' time.